Thanks for tuning in to Bitches Be Cray. Just a quick reminder, everything we share on this show reflects our personal experiences and what's worked for us. We're not healthcare professionals, so if you or someone you know is dealing with a medical or mental health concern, please reach out to a qualified professional for support. What's up, bitches? Welcome to Bitches Be Cray. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nancy. And today we're going to be talking about the 5 wounds that prevent you from being your true self.
Yeah, and in our last episode in the show notes, I put the book title, which is Heal Your Wounds and Find Your True Self, in case you wanted to read along with us and see how these wounds relate to you.
Should we go ahead and just jump right in?
Do we want to give like a quick overview of like
all of them?
Or yeah, not like so much a summary of each one, but just...
we can name them all.
Yeah, because I like put a little chart here. So basically there are 5 wounds and 5 masks that correspond to the wounds. And we're not going to do all the wounds in one episode, but just so you kind of know what's coming. So the wound of rejection, your mask would be withdrawal. Your wound of abandonment, your mask would be dependence. I'm going to let Nancy say the next one.
Your wound of humiliation is a masochism, and she's only doing that because I'm a foreigner, and if I said it wrong, it's okay.
Because I'm like, I can't say this word. I messed it up so many times. Do you want to finish out the charter?
Betrayal is control, and injustice is rigidity.
Yeah. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about the wound of rejection.
I want to tell you guys, I found this book 3 years ago. I read it on a plane on the way to New York. And I read the whole thing on the plane. And sometimes I was like, mind effed. I was like, what the fuck did I just read?
Because you felt so relatable?
Yes,
Relatable?
Because these are all wounds that these all happen when you are in the womb. Some of them in the womb, some in the first year of your life. So these are like wounds and scars that happened to you when you were little. And yeah, I don't want to parent shame or blame, but most of them are created by our caregivers.
Yeah, and it does say throughout the book, most of our parents are probably experiencing the same wounds. Yeah,
they're as wounded as we are. So, I feel like take the time to be upset what your parents did to you, but then move the fuck on and forgive them and start taking responsibility,
Yeah. So, but before you go into rejection, I did make a little note because it was in the introduction of the book. And it was talking about how there's 4 stages, I guess, that you go through. And it's you have the joy of being yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you get a little older, right? Yeah. And then you can get pain of not being allowed to be yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Then the rage and rebellion. And then you create new personalities. And then in those 3rd and 4th stages, that's where you start creating the masks based on the wounds. Based on how your upbringing is and what situations you're in.
Because I've seen my daughter. I've already read the book I've seen her create them, and I still, even with this fucking knowledge. So and that's what really sometimes makes me want to be more empathetic of my parents, because I'm like, I have all this knowledge and I still fuck up.
Yeah, and the author of this book.
Yes,
she mentioned her kids, and she's like, I see they have XYZ wound, and so it unfortunately, knowledge or no knowledge, it's everybody's got something. Yeah.
So I'm going to describe a little bit of rejection wound to see if anybody kind of connects with it. Rejection wound is, to me, basically the mother wound. It comes from, well, for me, it's the mother wound because
it's your same-sex parent.
It's same-sex, but it's
right.
a father. It's a father wound. So it occurs in the ages, it's the first year of your life. It feels like you have no right to exist. People who have the rejection wound tend to withdraw. It comes from the same-sex parent. Typically, people who have the rejection wound are perfectionists, but they're also really highly intelligent. They go through phases of really deep love and emotions for something, but then the next day they fucking hate it. They might have sex issues. I think males might have Did it say like
Impotence, like were you?
impotence and like pre-ejaculation?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I mean, I have PCOS, so that's sex related.
Yeah, okay.
Lack of self-love and value makes themselves invisible. They escape using different methods: sex, drugs, shopping, food. People who have the rejection wound do not let their inner child come out very much. Eats very little, occupies very little space, and escapes with alcohol and drugs, like I said. The body's very, very small. Like they want to disappear. They have a lot of stomach issues, prone to allergies, cancer, vomiting, diabetes, depression, and suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you were talking about like the body type. That is something, if you have an actual copy of this book, at the beginning of each wound, it shows you. If you have the book, or you probably, honestly, it might be in the description on Amazon. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can see some pages.
Super, super, super thin.
But the whole point of that is she mentions throughout the book, like if you might relate to some of the examples or characteristics of a wound, but you might not think you have it, or you might think you do, but to pay really close attention to the physical description. Yeah. So it does, you can describe, like Nancy already described it, but like for a visual, if you have the book.
If you went and looked at a picture, like now when I see my siblings, I know what their wound is. You know? But you can't fucking tell them. Just remember that. And also, I would read the book a couple times because some of the things that 2 or 3 years ago when I read it on the plane and went on the way to New York, I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah. And we were talking about that because I'm like, I wonder if it's because you healed those things or you said you got in denial. I mean, I suppose it's possible that at different points in your life, you'll see, a deeper wound, or maybe it's because you mentioned before, it's like peeling an onion. So maybe you healed a little bit of something and something else was right there underneath waiting for you.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Doesn't matter. I can if you want. I have less. Honestly,
Amanda thinks she's probably oblivious to her rejection.
Well, I was going to say, like, before I read this book and Nancy and I were just like chatting about it and we just talked kind of very superficially about it, I really expected to have a lot more. And maybe there will be more if I uncover. I have some of these wounds I have a big old list for. This was one of my smaller lists and I was really surprised because I always felt like my mom and my brother have a much closer relationship. But maybe I was more, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Maybe you weren't rejected in the first year of your life. Because it was just you.
That's true.
So I feel like I told you before, humiliation sounds like like that's what your mom gave you more than anything.
Still waiting to find out all the layers of how that could happen. But okay, I just have a few, so I'll mention this one. So I definitely related to the perfection trait and like being judged for mistakes. Like, I don't mind I feel like I don't get upset about like if people are like saying, oh, like you, like if your clothes don't match or something, like that's not the kind of perfection. And it's not even really judgment it's more judgment of myself and my perfectionism. Like I will write something, for example, I was talking to my therapist about this because I'm like, this has got to be weird. Like if I'm like just journaling, and journaling doesn't matter. You don't have to have proper grammar or whatever. And that's not normally what bothers me. But like if I write the letter like S or E or something a certain way and I don't like it, like I'll erase it. I mean, I'm on an iPad, so it's like, it's not like it's hard. It's not like it's like, but back in the day, I probably would have tried to erase it in a real journal. But like, it's the perfection about what I think is perfection though. Not so much worrying about being perfect for other people, but just my own, but it's still perfection. There was a note in there about it takes longer to do something than necessary. And again, there you go with like writing. I do that too, like with laundry. I did that whole Marie Kondo, fold your clothes a certain way kind of thing. Yeah. And I really don't live by that anymore, but I do still fold my clothes like that sometimes. And like, who cares? It's going in a drawer. I'll refold it if I'm not happy. I will refold the t-shirt. It's so annoying. Yeah, Nancy's giving me a look right now. It is. It's so annoying, but it's like, oh my gosh, I got to make it quote unquote perfect. So it mentioned if you have this wound that you have like panic in your life and that you might run away, avoid, and withdraw. Nancy and I were actually talking about this earlier, that there was a situation in my life yesterday where I knew I was going to be uncomfortable after something and have to see somebody I didn't want to see. And I'm like, can we just leave? Like I was already ready to run away and avoid it, even though I could have, I mean, I did stay and I didn't get to do that, but that would have caused me to miss out on a different moment of joy because I was going to see, you know what I mean? So even though I wanted to run away, I didn't. So they were talking about, like, if you remember how you described them, like very thin people. I am not a very thin person. And if I think back through my life, I mean, as a kid, I was thin, but a lot of people are thin when they're kids. So I don't know if I would really count that, but I do. They mentioned like their appetites.
But you see Renata?
Yeah.
She has a rejection.
Well, and yeah, Renata's thin.
She's more than that.
You think she's more than just
her size is not the length of her body, but her actual size. She's 7 years old, and her waistline is 14.
I mean, I don't know what waistline should be, but I mean, I would say I see her, so I realize that she's.
Yeah.
I see that she's thin. Well, I'll say this later, but one thing is like they can lose appetite during emotional times. The other day when I'm not going to say what the situation was because I don't know whoever's going to listen to this, but when I was I had like a situation in my life that I was emotional / upset. I don't know if I was angry. I don't know. I was feeling something, and it was like dinner time, and I felt physically ill. I'm like, like.
Lucky.
Right? Maybe I should be upset more often. I'm just kidding.
You want me to keep you upset?
Right? Please keep, just for a little bit.
Just like 6-7 months.
Right? So yeah, I did make another note, and it's just more of saying like I see these like traits, characteristics, and all this, and I can see this in some people that I know, like with this more than I saw for me. And I'm like, first I'm like, am I in denial? Because I feel like it's true, I could be. But then as I read other ones, I'm like, I found I really related to some other ones heavy.
But I think sometimes I honestly try to, because I know I was gonna read the book. I said to like ask somebody, like ask your friend what she thinks about you.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. But then when I read the humiliation again, I'm like, that's more abandonment than the abandonment.
Yeah.
Than the rejection. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, you're up.
Mine's savage. Okay, I just want to say that since the brief description that I gave about rejection, it's not very detailed, but these things I'm going to read about myself, those are also signs that you have the rejection wound. So up until I was 27 years old. No. Up until I was 32 years old, I lived in an imaginary world in my head that I created since I was little. So that's how I withdrew. And I don't have a lot of memories of my childhood, and I thought it was because I was disassociated. I thought it was because I was traumatic. But I came to the conclusion that I was disassociated. I was never there. I was in the room, but I was in my imaginary world in my head, so I don't know what happened.
So it's like last time when you were talking about your goals and you're like, I went to the movie and I wasn't really there. Like, I don't know if you were daydreaming then necessarily, but you just said like disassociating from stuff.
And I haven't daydreamed, maladaptive daydream in a really long time. And I literally tell myself, shut the fuck up. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
I never felt like I fit anywhere. I always felt and I isolated myself all the time, but I never felt like I belonged. Ever. I always felt when I walked into a room, especially with females, I always felt like they did not want me there. And I think I attracted it too because most of the time they did not want me there. I was super, like, right now, I mean, if you ask somebody, they're going to say that I'm not overweight, but they're unsupportive. But I was super, when I was a little girl, I was super skinny, like my daughter, probably more.
Yeah.
And my mom spent years trying to fatten me up. Like, took me to doctors, they studied my poop. Weird shit trying to, because that was a humiliation for her, because people would tell her that she didn't feed me.
Okay.
I actually started isolating myself just so I wouldn't be rejected. Like, I just keep to myself. And I still do that as an adult, actually.
Yeah.
And I actually put myself in positions where I'm going to be rejected sometimes just so I could prove to myself that I'm not worthy and that I deserve to be rejected. It gives me panic. The idea of taking good care of people gives me panic, like hardcore. And I think the biggest rejection I've ever done, besides rejecting my daughter in my womb, because I rejected my daughter in my womb, and I'm working on it, is I literally have never been happy with myself. Like, remember I told you I was unboxing up those fat pants?
Oh.
I was from 2 or 3 years ago when I was like 20, 30 pounds, no, I was 20 pounds lighter, and I was boxing up those fat pants. And when 20 pounds ago, I thought I was fat, and I was packing those fat pants up. I was gonna throw them away, but then I was like, maybe I'm not gonna want them one day, you know? Maybe they'll be fetch one day, and she can have them. And they're good brands, and they look really good. So when I looked at them, I was like, these are tiny. I was not fat. And I feel like I've been rejecting myself, everything about myself.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, because there's definitely been some times that you, like, I really thought, like, oh my gosh, you're really thin. And you were not happy.
No.
You still were not happy.
No. I mean, I think I've been stuck at this weight for that exact same reason. I always think I'm overweight. I tend to run away by eating. I haven't done that in a long time. I feel like I've healed that part, but I do want to mention that because I feel like that might be something that people might like connect with. But I'm going to say I used to run away by eating, smoking, shoplifting. I smoked weed for a very long time.
So I can't remember. Tell me if it's, are they like basically referring to, like, if you have the rejection wound, that you might be more prone to addiction?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some addictions. I didn't put those on my list, but I got those.
Yeah, you are more prone to addiction. You're more prone to, that's how you run away. That's how you, I am more prone to addiction. I'm trying to heal that. I feel like I'm 4 days away, people. 63, 64. 3 days away from a whole year of not smoking. Anyway. And I want to say that for the longest time, I could say that I hated my mom. I have had suicidal thoughts. I'm very hard on myself, and I don't tend to forgive. I tend to forgive others, but myself, I just carry that on till kingdom come.
I didn't write that because you know how I talk about I hold grudges, but think about the situation we were talking about the other day with my.
No, that's something else. I feel like that right there to me is that's probably mommy issues. You try to get mommy to like you.
Are we talking? No,
are we talking about the one from yesterday or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about like the situation with my friend, and I just like forgave her. Like I'm willing to forgive my friends. I'm not willing to forgive people that aren't my friends or my partners.
I don't know what one that is.
I don't either, because it is like a thing about I hold grudges, but like if you did something, I would forgive you. I guess you have to be in a certain place for me before I'm willing to, like, are you worthy of being forgiven? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I forgive others, but not myself.
Yeah, maybe that's in a different one. But anyway, you said that and I'm like, oh, I didn't write that, but.
Yeah, I can forgive people.
Yeah.
But myself, like I was not a very good mother to her. Not that she was from ages 2 to like 4. Those 2 years, and those 2 years, I literally lay up and I think about them. Shame. I feel like I judge others very heavily, but sometimes I judge others very heavily for the things that I do. And I feel like it's because they mirror them to me, and I'm like, kind of like I want to reject them for that, but in reality, I'm rejecting myself. Like.
That's why I remember when I said I see somebody in this, one of the situations that happened recently. That's what that made me think of. Like, this person didn't want someone to come to an event because they were saying like, these judgmental people who think I'm this, but like, you're okay if they don't come. So it's because when they come for some reason that triggers making that person feel like that's how they really feel about themselves.
Yeah, it is how they feel about themselves.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like the last thing that I've done is I think since I moved back home to my hometown, after Renata was born, I feel like I've never done this before, but since Renata was born, I practically made myself invisible. Like I remember I stopped brushing my hair. Like I think I made myself invisible to men mostly.
Okay.
Like I wasn't like, I was literally, one time I went to work. I mean, mind you, my office, we don't have any customers that go in there, but my employees did see me, and I was wearing like a fucking stained t-shirt and some like pajama pants and like remember those crazy buns I used to wear because I didn't brush my hair for months on end.
Yep, I bought Nancy a brush once for and she was like, "How dare you?" I'm like, "You just need a brush."
I actually brush my hair not every day. So I feel like I tend to do that.
Well, you're talking about like the stains on clothes and stuff. I remember reading something about that in Humiliation. I guess maybe some of these have some crossover.
I mean, I always stained my clothes, but make myself invisible. That's how I made myself invisible.
Okay.
Because I felt like I was repelling.
Like you didn't want anyone to find you attractive.
I did not want anyone to find you. And it's funny because when I wanted a lot of attention, I could go to the Walmart looking like that and dudes would give me attention.
Of course. You're beautiful. Because you're beautiful. Like,
but now the fact that I don't have attention, I literally did. I did not have, how many years did I say I was not getting any attention?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it was like fucking 8 years. I was like, I'm not even getting no attentions.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I was giving off, don't fucking look at me.
Yeah.
And other times in my life, I feel like I needed the man validation so bad, you know?
Right.
But in this stage, I was not. And I feel like I worked on, because I've said I read the book 3 years ago, you know? I worked on a lot of these, but I was kind of actually very disappointed. Because I literally did a whole year of working on my mother wound.
Yeah, because you mentioned you even have been doing that in therapy. Like you've been working around it.
Like, where the fuck am I at here? But I will say that I don't hate myself anymore. I don't look in the mirror and think I'm disgusting. I don't, like, look, I haven't like tried to lose weight for trips or for concerts or for anything. I just show up in my weight.
Yeah.
And that's big for me.
Yep.
Because I used to, like, if I was going on vacation, I was lose 40 pounds.
Yep, she would always anything for literally anything that you're gonna need a new outfit for. Yeah. Forget it.
Yeah, and I would buy that outfit. And it would be tiny, and you bet your ass.
Yep.
That I would fit.
Right.
And now I don't. Now I just show up like the pants I'm wearing. They're size 12, I think 12, 10. This is an extra large shirt, and I'm wearing it. I didn't even allow. You know, that's the other one. That's humiliation, so I'm not gonna take over. But I feel like these are all my characteristics. I don't know if you guys. There is another book though that tells you how to heal them by her, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and I know I've read the majority of this book already. I've barely gotten to the chapters towards the end about, because there is like a section she references at the end of each wound, like, to heal this wound, you can get more information at the end. I haven't read it to see how much information is there. So maybe it's like a very superficial, like, here's how you heal it. And if you really want to get deep into healing it, you need the other book, I think.
Yeah, you do, yeah. So, but I feel like I can't even remember the things that I did to help heal it. But I think I worked a lot on.
What about affirmations? Is that would you think that would be for this wound? Or tapping?
I think tapping. And I think personally forgiving your mom. I think forgiving your mom because, and I think that's why I haven't made any real progress in all of the healing work that I've done with the rejection, because I still haven't forgiven my mom. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you forgive your mom and you're more empathetic and you realize if you have this wound so deeply, what the fuck do you think she has?
Yeah.
Because you actually, rejection, some people say you can get it in the womb.
Well, you said you think you gave that to your daughter because you were, yeah.
In the womb. I didn't want, it's not that I didn't want her. I wanted to be a mother. I just didn't want to be a mother from that.
And that like the circumstances weren't what you were expecting for motherhood.
And that, but she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So I put her through that rejection.
Yeah.
But I hope this helps people, because sometimes I feel like I acted like a crazy bitch. And I had no idea why I was acting like a crazy bitch. And then people with this wound, they have like a mask of like I don't give a shit, pretty much.
Is it the withdrawal?
It's the withdrawal. They just don't. Most people think that they don't give a shit, you know? Like if I isolate myself, they just think, oh, she's a bitch. She doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, like, no emotion. Like I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I hold my
Well, I was going to say, like, over this last year, I've heard you talk about your mom differently than I've ever heard you talk about your mom. Not like you were off, like, talking bad about her before necessarily, but, like, I could tell, like, you're like, oh, my mom and I talked about XYZ, or my mom and I said this, and it's not stuff I've ever heard you say about your mom. So I mean, you know, you're making steps.
I'm trying to have compassion. The thing about my mom, people, is that she's older. She had me in her late 30s, almost 40. So I feel like I have to hurry the fuck up and heal my mom, because I don't know how many years. I see her like twice a year. She's 73 years old. She's in great health, but
well, you know, I guess no, go ahead.
I feel rushed.
I was going to say that I wonder if some people will be thinking this, because I may also have this question because of some other wounds that are of the opposite sex, right? Like, not everyone's parents are still around, and you can still obviously forgive your parents whether they're here or not. But I don't recall if there's much in the book about, or maybe it's because I haven't got there yet, about I haven't read through all the healing. Like, how do you go about that if your parent, is it whether they're passed away or whether they're just not available? Yeah.
I read another book that you can, like, and I told my sister-in-law this because her father passed. You can, like, let's say you can go in the backyard and you can put a chair and, like, make it cute, and that's your mom.
Okay. So
it's your dad.
It's kind of like the thing with, well, no, maybe it's not. You're saying like an object. No, or are you thinking like, okay,
that space is your mom, and every time you go there, you're going there to heal with her.
Okay. Because what you said, it made me think of, like, if we've mentioned this podcast several times, the adult chair, how she's mentioned before, like, you can have your adult self in one chair, and there's like a chair for your adolescent or your child, and you can like move the chairs, or you can like have that conversation. Obviously there's not a physical person there, but it's like, you know, the idea of them. So it's kind of like that,
it's like
but a different person.
Said, like, I can't remember what book this was. I wish I could remember it. But yeah, that you can make it a garden, and you go visit your mom or dad.
So it's kind of like if you have like your family members buried in a cemetery, or if they're not passed and you don't know them because you're adopted, or just because for some reason you're not able to communicate with them, just like, you know.
And then this third 3D realm. And you know what? And sometimes your mom can be right next to you. You're still not able to communicate.
I mean, that's so yeah, maybe if it's just, maybe if you're not there yet and you're not ready to have a real conversation with a real person, you can start that conversation. Like, I think of it like, I think we've brought this up before, but like people say, like, you know, red birds, the cardinals, are like people that passed.
Yeah.
At least you would say some white people believe that stuff. That's what you would say. So I think it's because like sometimes I see like out my window if I'm driving and I'll be like, oh, hey dad, or like, hey grandma, whoever I feel like it is in the moment. I mean, obviously I can't go back to that same bird over and over, but you know what I mean? Like, but it doesn't feel like, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I'm actually like saying hey to somebody I know, especially one time one lady stared at me through my window for a really long time, and I'm like, this is so weird. What is going on?
That might be, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe in that. So. I do. But I do believe that you can still heal even if the person's not there. You just have to designate that little area. Or you don't even have to go anywhere special. You could literally just do a meditation.
Yeah.
And just go within and talk to them.
But I do think like what you're saying about how you feel like kind of like an urgency, right? Because obviously if your parent is alive and they are still in your life somewhat, I mean, you know, of course you would think you want to have that healed so you can enjoy your time more with them.
I also feel like, God forbid, this woman passes before I get to forgive her.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt like a motherfucker. Like, just the idea of like meet her dying and it was never resolved.
Yeah.
You know, that's something. That's my journey, guys. I'm glad you're gonna read this book in 4 years and be like, damn,
and find out some new stuff I didn't know about myself that go around. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I definitely think that's possible, because just even hearing you mention some things, I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't think about it like that, and you know.
Maybe because I'm just so very attuned to my mother wound.
Yeah.
You know, like it's been a lot.
Well, there was something because the next wound is abandonment. And I was reading, I can't remember which of the 2 chapters it was in, but it was talking about rejection is like when someone basically physically pushes, maybe not physically, but like they're pushing you away, whether physically or whether whatever. But with abandonment, it's that they just kind of move on to something else. But the abandonment wound is supposed to be your opposite sex. But like I kind of feel like with my mom, I felt more abandoned because it's like once my brother was born, any attention or focus on me shifted to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's supposed to be with your opposite sex.
Yeah,
However,
abandoned you, she rejected you, and you feel it like abandonment.
I guess.
No, moms can't abandon.
But
reject.
But what if they have that masculine quality?
I don't know
because my mom read me stories. She sung me lullabies, but my mom was not, or she is not, still not very feminine. Not that my dad was, but I don't know. I don't know if that matters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have to research that.
I don't know if that matters, but she's still a feminine woman. I mean, she's still a woman.
Well, yeah, no,
At the end of the day, she's rejecting her femininity.
Yeah. Anything else we want to say, and then we'll go on.
Good. I hope that this helps someone get to know themselves better.
Yep, and if you did not relate to this wound, don't worry. There are 4 more that you can certainly relate to. I mean,
everybody can relate to all.
I was going to say, I found for sure that I have pieces of all of them, but I've made this list, and if you look at some of the lists are real long, and some are shorter. So it could just be this moment in my life that some things are deeper, but it basically, says some wounds are deeper than others and all of that good stuff. But yeah, we hope if you have these wounds that you'll find a way to heal them, whether it's reading the book or figuring it out on your own. And we'll be back next time with the wound of abandonment.
Bye, bitches.
Bye, bitches.